And I mentioned that, this route that we're picking, it will go right by the historic Mall Lake nickel occurrence, which hasn't seen a drill bit since 1967. So I'd like to get in there and hit that mineralization and put the probe down that hole and have a good look around, and then continue on up to the Goshager Lake project and park the drills for our next drill program there.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Ian Fraser. He is the CEO of Fathom Nickel. And Ian, it's great to see you. How are you?
Doing well, Steve. How are you keeping?
I'm doing well, doing well. Good to have you along and excited to talk about some news you had out today, basically surmising what happened in 2024 and really looking ahead to 2025. So just a quick thought on 2024. Tough year in the markets, obviously, but you got a lot of work done in 2024.
Yeah, that's sort of the important takeaway, Steve. It has been challenging, but we've been able to, continue to do the work and continue to advance both projects, and very, very pleased with those with what we've been able to do in this challenging market. So, I'm optimistic. We have to be optimistic in this business that 2025 will present slightly better things in a more macro scale, perhaps, and hopefully we can take advantage of that.
Yeah, and you're really looking at the nickel price to see a bit of an increase in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, just what's been going on in the early months here, or early January, we have seen it, kick back up north of 7, and it seems to be on a move. And the news out of Indonesia is they are going to cut back, and I think there's a lot of incorrect reporting with respect to what's going on in the nickel market, and hopefully we'll just continue to see a gradual rise in the nickel price, and that'll help us all.
All right, well, let's talk about 2025. You've sort of broken it down into what's going to happen per quarter per project as well. So Goshager Lake obviously is a key one for you. So tell me a little bit about what you're planning to do there this year.
Yeah, well, we've got our camp established there now, and I'm currently working with the local stakeholders and rights holders, and we've asked permission to take some drill equipment into the property, via a network of ice roads and winter trails, some of them being existing trails that go back to the mid-60s. And I'm optimistic we'll have permission to do that, and then we can get going on that very early in February. And I mentioned that, this route that we're picking, it will go right by the historic Mall Lake nickel occurrence, which hasn't seen a drill bit since 1967. So I'd like to get in there and hit that mineralization and put the probe down that hole and have a good look around, and then continue on up to the Goshager Lake project and park the drills for our next drill program there. But immediately we're all ready to go. We've got a geophysical crew lined up and some line cutters lined up, and I'd really like to get at this 75 kilometers of geophysics, deep penetrating geophysics, to really start opening up some of the other possibilities, what we feel are existing along strike of the historic deposit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's great with the ice roads because you can get all that equipment in there and be prepared for when it's about time to start drilling then.
Exactly. And then, you've heard me talk about the helicopters, and that just eliminates our dependency on helicopter, and will have a tremendous impact on our overall exploration costs. So that would be, if we can get that done, that'll be a real win-win.
Okay, let's talk about Albert Lake, because that project's going to see a little bit of work as well in 2025.
Yes, what's interesting, Steve, is Saskatchewan, and it's it's a great province. It's famous for its uranium and everything else, but now people are starting to look around for other possibilities, and some of the work that we've done and some of the work that our neighbors are doing are demonstrating that there are other possibilities within the Rottenstone domain. So that's exciting. We had some success with our prospecting programs, and we need to figure out what's controlling the gold down there, and quite optimistic that we'll be able to do some additional work towards the south end of the Albert Lake project in 2025 as well.
I guess, Ian, to summarize here, it really looks like you're able to do a lot with the little dollars that are available to companies, in your particular space. So it sounds like you're real systematically working these projects to get to a point where if the price does go up, you're ready to make the move.
Yes, and the other thing that we're quite pleased with is a lot of people are approaching us. We've had an awful lot of companies express interest and like what it is that we're doing, and potentially that's a helping partner down the road. So we're continuing to entertain all these possibilities as well.
Well, we look forward to sharing all the news in 2025 with you, Ian. Thanks very much. Good to see you again, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All
All
right,
the
Ian
best.
Fraser, the CEO of Fathom Nickel.